Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The media has been notified, and I have been informed we do have a quorum because there are 4 of us that have been sworn in so far. At this point, I would like to invite our new board members and their families to step to the front of the board here and be sworn in as new board members.
Solemnly swear that I am duly qualified according to the Constitution of this state to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been elected, and that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof, and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States, so help me God. Congratulations.
The audience will indulge us for just a moment. I would like to welcome our newest board members to the Berkeley County Board of Education. You are official now, and you have come on at a fantastic time. November and December are typically slower times for board members, so this is your chance to ask as many questions as you can to get familiar with the district from the board perspective. The 4 of us are here for you to ask any questions to help you in your transition, and I know our superintendent is here for you as well. And I know what a phenomenal feat it is to be on this board. So I would like for you to take this time to welcome your friends and family, introduce your friends and family that you've brought with you this evening, and we'll start with District 1.
My wife and 3 children are on the way. They are currently stuck in traffic, but they will be here shortly. And her name is Sarah Ramsey, Benjamin Ramsey, Paul Ramsey, and a baby who is unnamed.
Wonderful.
My name is Laura Kelly, and today I have with me Ryan Kelly over here on the left, and my daughter Hannah Kelly and Ashley Kelly, and my two nieces that live with us. They are at home, Peyton Arnold and Taylor Arnold, and I just wanted to thank them, thank God for supporting me through this venture here, getting here, and I just want to work with the board and just make our schools the best they can be. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Reverend Kelly Spann, and I'm happy to be here. Have with me is my wife for 35 years, Sister Zenobia Spann. Will you stand so they can see? My sister is with her, Dolores Howard. And my campaign manager is with me, Sister Green. Will you stand? There are a few others. Mr. Simmons, will you stand? My brother-in-law is also with me, Mr. Milligan, and Brother Hercules. Give them a big hand. Thank you.
My name is Ann Condor, and I'd like to introduce my husband, Glenn Emmerich. Please stand, sweetie. He likes to kind of remain in the shadows, but he's been very supportive. Next, I want to introduce my beautiful and sweet little granddaughter, the youngest of three, Riley. Take a bow, Riley. She hit the campaign trail with her Mimi, and she became my campaign manager. We rode around in a little golf cart for days on end, and she'd run around putting door hangers out and talking to people. And she's my heart. Thank you, Riley, and you're my inspiration.
All right, so now we are on item 1D. That is our approval of agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
I yield to Mr. Spann.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Wright and a second by Mr. Spann. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. The audience will please stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance, and it will be followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is the election of vacant officer positions. Do I have a motion for chair?
Madam Secretary, I nominate Sally Wofford to serve as chairwoman.
I'll second that. Do I have any other nominations? All right, we'll call the question. All those in favor of Ms. Sally Wofford serving as chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, sounds like the ayes have it. Ms. Wofford, welcome. I hope you find this seat more comfortable than I do. Grab my purse.
Next, we'll be accepting nominations for the vice chair position. Are there any motions for vice chair? I would like to move to nominate Mac McQuillan as my vice chair.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Is there a motion to close nominations?
I move we close nominations 2000.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of Mr. McQuillan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. McQuillan, you are the vice chair. Moving on to agenda item 1G, is there a motion for the approval of the minutes?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda for the board workshop October 25th, 2016, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. Is there a motion for the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on October 25th?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, can you tell us who had that second?
I did.
Right.
Right, okay, thank you, sir.
All those in favor of approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on October 25th, 2016, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. Up next, we would like to invite Mr. Terry Hardesty to come up to the podium for citizens' comments. As he's coming to the podium, I would like to go over the procedures for citizen comments. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comment at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comment that do not adhere to the guidelines. Mr. Hardesty would like to speak about the election. Mr. Hardesty, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, Superintendent Blackburn, members of the board. We've just come through the election period, and you know, a lot of people will say things like elections have consequences and elections mean things. They do in this country. This room has quite a number of people in it who work very diligently to change the membership of this board. And I hope the district understands that the citizens really are in charge. I want to congratulate all of you that got elected, all of you out there that worked hard for your candidates, and I'm just proud to say that I think this board is going to move forward in a very positive direction, and congratulations.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to agenda item 3A, the safety and security update. Also, if anyone came to just see our new board members be sworn in or would like to leave at this time, this would be a good time. Mr. Ramsey, did your family come in?
If my wife, Sarah Ramsey, could please stand up, along with Benjamin and Paul Ramsey and baby Ramsey.
Thank you. I apologize. We'll go now to Mr. Franchini on the safety and security update.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Blackburn, members of the board, and congratulations also to all of you that have been elected. Look forward to working with you. I'd like to ask Mr. Tim Knight, our Safety and Security Officer, to come give you a safety update for the last quarter.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Congratulations. Thank you. Superintendent Blackburn, and both new and old members of the board. As you know, the safety of our students and employees is our #1 priority. So tonight I'd like to bring to you your attention to our safety updates for the 2016-2017 school year. The Berkeley County School District conducts at least 2 large-scale crisis simulations every year. This Thursday, November 17th, we will be conducting an active shooter exercise at Sangaree Intermediate School. These exercises give us the opportunity to activate our emergency procedures we have in place so we can critique and evaluate those procedures to make sure they are effective and efficient in real-life emergency situations. These exercises also allow our law enforcement partners, emergency medical service partners, and county emergency management to collaborate responses, evaluate current crisis plans, and make adjustments as needed in order to protect students, save lives, and reduce injuries. Beautiful. In the summer of 2014, we started a training curriculum for all of our school resource officers with the intention of bringing them together for a few days of intense training and instruction. This past July, we were able to host our 3rd annual Berkeley County School Resource Officer Summer Training. This training was held at Berkeley High School with approximately 40 law enforcement officers and district employees in attendance. We hosted presentations that were offered by the Kennedy Center, the Department of Juvenile Justice, our Special Services Department, and by members of the Ninth Circuit Solicitor's Office. Our school resource officers were also able to have hands-on training in the areas of de-escalation techniques and defensive tactics. Our SROs also participated.
Point of comfort, Mr. Knight.
Mr. Franchini, can we move this flag and
It's covering up the
microphone?
presentation for the folks on the end.
And the speakers, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
I
good.
apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our school resource officers also participated in about 10 hours of intense active shooter training. We take a lot of pride in the relationships we have with our county's law enforcement partners. We have not only been working with our local and state law enforcement partners to develop training courses, but we have also been in close contact with federal law enforcement. This past February, the FBI provided a full day of training for our administrators and teachers during the district's instructional fair and staff development day. This year, we are working on plans to implement district-wide training we received from the FBI. We will also be continuing our annual administrator injury prevention and self-defense training. These are just a few examples of how the district is working hard to give our school resource officers, administrators, and teachers, who all work very hard, different tools and training they can use to be successful in dealing with different types of emergency situations, all while remaining safe. We currently have over 4,300 surveillance cameras in our schools, and our technology department has been continuously upgrading these in all of our schools and office buildings. These state-of-the-art internet protocol cameras with crystal clear imaging have been a crucial part in the physical security features in place at all of our schools. The installation of our access control system is at 100% completion. That covers over 600 doors in our schools and office buildings. We were also able to add 1 new school resource officer this year, which went to Berkeley High School, where we now have 2 full-time SROs for support. Currently, 6 of our law enforcement partners in the county provide the district with a total of 24 school resource officers. As everyone is very aware, arrival and dismissal times at our schools have become very congested with both vehicular and pedestrian traffic. As a result, we have a continual effort to beef up our parking lot signage and better improve our school traffic flow. We have also implemented a school safety committee crisis response team at every school. These teams, consisting of the school's safety liaison assistant principal, nurse, school counselor, teachers certified in CPR and first aid, head custodians, and cafeteria workers, meet twice a year to discuss safety goals, injury prevention techniques, and respond to and assist with different types of crises. And lastly, as everyone knows, last month, Hurricane Matthew gave many of us in the district some long days and even longer nights. The Berkeley County School District worked very hard and very closely with Berkeley County Emergency Preparedness, the Red Cross, law enforcement, and emergency services, all with the common goal of providing safe shelters for the citizens we serve. We opened 7 of our schools where we served over 1,000 citizens and housed over 100 pets. School and district level administrators, staff, our facilities and technology departments all worked tirelessly to ensure our district was prepared and ready before, during, and after the storm. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Knight. And I know a lot of people worked a lot of long hours for Hurricane Matthew, so we really appreciate all the effort that was given. A lot of those people are in this room, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item 4A, which is the quarterly construction update, and Mr. Jackson will be handling that.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Blackburn, members of the board. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Gene Sides and Ms. Crystal Queen to the podium to give you a presentation of the quarterly construction update, which will be followed by agenda item 4B, if you will, the early site package for Bowens Corner Elementary School.
Madam Chair, Superintendent Blackburn, members of the board, I'm Gene Sides with Interim Director of Facilities. I'm here to present to you the quarterly construction update, which we've been working on since 2012. This next update is in regards to 10 projects that we had on the board, which are now reduced to 4 being on the board, 6 being completed. The latest completion is our Goose Creek High, which was the longest running phase project, which just finished its final phase with the bus loop addition, which you'll see pictures later. And the other is the Philip Simmons Elementary and Middle Schools. We're currently in progress with the high school, which is scheduled to be completed in August of 2017. And then Fox Bank Elementary School and the Bowens Corner Elementary School are beginning to start early site packages, gathering that information, as well as they're still in design. And the Berkeley Ed Center is in its stabilization process. This is the Goose Creek High School addition and renovation. This is just basically a circumvent of all the accomplishments that this project had, the new front entry. There's the new bus loop with its new canopy, the entry, and the entry medallion, and the science lab. This is the Philip Simmons High School. The picture on the left is the Academy building, which will be housing 20 classrooms and 10 project rooms on the first and second floors. And the picture on the right is the 9th grade wing, which is nearing completion with the brick veneer and the window framing. The construction is scheduled to continue through the summer of July, with hopefully a substantial completion in mid-August, which is right around school opening. This next few slides here this is the gym entrance, which is at the back of the site. The interior of the gym, which is currently having HVAC, electrical, and plumbing installation. As you can tell, it's been primed for paint. And then the far right photograph is the athletic field house. This is somewhat of a plan. You'll see in our executive summaries as they're issued that these are the areas. The area 1 is the gym and auxiliary gym. Area 3 is the 9th grade wing. Area 2 is the cafeteria, kitchen, and technology forest. Area 4 on the left side is Area C, which is the administration area, and Area D is the theater, auditorium. Area 5 is a common core type of space with circulation and music rooms, and Area 6 are the academies housing the classroom and the project rooms. In the latest construction update, we had OSF visit the site for an overhead inspection of a mock-up room, which would allow us to basically show all of our subcontractors what is approved and what is not approved. If they had a question on what the condition should look like, we could send them to this one area, and they would know exactly what to do. Currently, we've got brick veneer installation and hollow metal windows being installed, and the site development is continuing throughout. Now this is hopefully a movie of aerial photographs showing you from beginning to end. This is the initial clearing that began in September. And that is Nellyfield Plantation in the back, which is the development. At the bottom of the screen, you'll start seeing the academy starting to be developed. This is a soil stabilization that's occurring in the months of January after the 1 in 1,000 year flood. In March of this year, you could see that the athletic fields are starting to take shape. The parking lot for student parking is in the far right back of the property. That's the roof of the gymnasium starting to take shape. You'll also notice the ponds along the site. These were specially designed and required by the city to help us keep on-site mitigation water runoff on the site during any torrential rain event. Therefore, we did not contribute to any wetland flooding or substantial flooding during that time. And as you can tell, and this is October and September, some of our wettest months. And since these photographs, it's been much more progress. We do have a roof on the academy building. The intent was to start the construction for the high school from back to front, but we decided to go from back to front to middle because it allowed the equipment to be utilized in the center and minimize traffic. The next project is Fox Bank Elementary. We are currently in a design development phase, which is the third part of the development of design, which is you start with programming, you have schematic design, criteria design, and then design development. This is the latest. We hope to have a presentation to you at the next board meeting for land acquisition and an early site package. The contractor on this is Contract Construction, who happen to be in our audience tonight with John Farley, Greg Hughes, and Kyle Farley. They are some of our favorite contractors to work with. And this is the Berkeley Ed Center. And again, another contract construction project. This is the current stabilization. This is the removal of an existing fuel tank that is required, and contaminated soil is currently being removed. Once this is completed, right now I think we have landscaping being removed and preparations and mobilization for the stabilization are starting. And I'm going to try and stop this. I'd now like to introduce you to Crystal Queen. She's going to talk to you more about the Bowens Corner since she's been entrenched in this project for the past 3 years. She has a lot more details on it than I do.
Good evening, new board members, Madam Chair, Ms. Blackburn, and the rest of our members of the board. I'm excited tonight to talk to you about Bowens Corner Elementary School. I'd like to recognize another one of our contractors in the audience, H.G. Reynolds, who is going to be constructing this project. With us tonight, we have Bud Ziff and Ryan Reynolds to represent their firm. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what we've been working on for the past few months. I'm going to give you a fly through of the exterior elevations, so just keep in mind that this is still a work in progress. It is not finalized, but this is a very good preview. So if you'll notice, we do have a very oddly shaped site. As you come into the property, we have a boulevard style entrance, which is kind of common for some of our other schools. What you're focusing on right now is going to be the main entry of the facility. On the left-hand side, you'll see the cafeteria and multi-purpose room, and then the main entry to the administration. As we turn the corner, you're going to see that this side of the building will be dedicated to student drop-off. So we added another inviting entrance on this side of the facility. This will be specialty classrooms, music and art, student drop-off with another entry point. And then as we turn the corner again, you'll see the media center with its own specific entry. And then we turn to the back of the facility. This is where the heart of our classrooms will be located. Based on the limited site that we have, the classroom wings is going to be a 2-story. So that will, first floor will be pre-K through first grade, and then second through fifth on the second level. And then we'll have a courtyard, playground nestled kind of in the back of the facility with lots of trees, and we have some wetlands that we're going to be protecting in the back. So to go into a little bit more of the project, hopefully tonight, later on the agenda, I'm going to make a motion for the early site package. And based on that, hopefully we get approval. We would like to start construction right away. Our design team is also concurrently working on a deadline for the end of this week, which is a 75% design development set. That will be for our contractor to do another round of pricing so we can see where we are. And then also, this will go to the Office of School Facilities to do their formal review. Hopefully in December, we will move into a full pricing back from our contractor, and then 100% deadline of drawings before Christmas. And then we will do another round of pricing with the contractor again, and we would love to establish the GMP in February. And then in hopes of that, does anybody have any questions?
Do we have any other school, 2 levels for the elementary?
We do not. This will be our first, along with Fox Bank.
You're not worried about the safety for the smaller children in case of emergency?
That's one of the primary reasons why we have the smaller grades on the first floor. And then we have the...
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yes. Pre-K through first grade will be on the first level.
Okay.
And Mr. Spann, we don't have a total school that's 2 stories, but one of our elementary schools, they actually do have a split story. College Park Elementary has 2 stories, multi-stories.
And who's on the second floor of College Park Elementary?
Sir?
The second floor.
It's similar to the design that we have here. It's an elementary school, so it's all K through 5. So it's elementary students that are upstairs as well. Second through fifth grade, third through fifth grade.
One other question concerning the holding, the ponds, you call it water drainage?
Yeah, detention ponds, yes.
Yes, at
The
Philip Simmons site, there's about 3?
There's actually 5.
3 or 4?
There's 5.
How close are they to the school?
They're fairly close, but they will be fenced.
They will be
They
fenced?
are required to be fenced, and they will be protected. They're considered somewhat of, but they dump into the wetlands, so we really can't have anybody access those except our maintenance and facilities technicians.
Thank you.
I have a question. What's the allocated budget for Bowen?
Yes, ma'am. At this point, the GMP for Boeing has not, for the Boeing project, hadn't been established yet. So once we go through the rounds of pricing that Ms. Queen referred to earlier, we come back to the board to establish a GMP, the guaranteed maximum pricing for that project.
Okay.
If there aren't any other questions, do we have a recommendation for agenda item 4B?
Madam Chair, I would like to move that we approve HG Reynolds construction guaranteed maximum price of $2 million.
Recommend.
Of $2 million for the early site package site work to put in the building pad at Bowens Corner Elementary, so we can begin work immediately after. The early site package costs will be rolled into the total building costs and presented to the school board, in early spring of 2017 to approve the GMP for the entire construction project.
Are there any motions for agenda item 4B?
I move that we adopt the recommendation.
Second.
All right, Mr. Ramsey has moved that we adopt the recommendation, and to, for the record, to be formal, the approval for HG Reynolds to begin work on the early site package for Bowens Corner Elementary School. The work shall not exceed $2 million and will be included in the GMP, guaranteed maximum price, to be presented at a later date. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. 8-0. Moving on to agenda item 5A, we will be hearing from Mr. Thomas for a quarterly financial report for the period ending September 30th, 2016.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Ms. Blackburn. Okay, Archie, I will. We have for you tonight 2 items. The first information is the financial report for September 30th, 2016, which is basically the 25% of the year is over, is related to the financial position for Berkeley County Schools. So we should see 75% remaining on the expenditures or more, and we'll talk about why they might be a little bit more on some of the slides. The information I'm going to share tonight also is consistent with prior years as far as remaining percentages left to spend and receive. So I want to move forward through the general fund. As we work on next year's budget, you'll see more detail related to these kind of rolled up areas: local, district, state aid, and federal sources. But as you can see, for September 30th, we've received a little over $33 million, almost $34 million in revenue, significantly from the state aid, which is our base funding for education in the state of South Carolina. You'll see that we've yet to receive 87% of the budget, and again, that is consistent with prior years, and the main reason is will not receive our local tax dollars until about December, January. So you'll start seeing that budget to kind of get closer to the ideal remaining left to receive. On the expenditure side, you'll see that we've expended $44.8 million and budget to expend of 83 left to expend. And the reason that is more than the 75% is because of the related summer salaries for teachers accruals that we'll post in July and August after the fiscal year is over. So we want to be in that above ideal remaining percentage in that area. State restricted and federal funds. This item, we've received 1.6 million, a little over the 1.6, and a budget to receive of 92%. This is largely Title I, special education, and other major federal programs that we receive from the feds and through the South Carolina Department of Education. Most all of these are reimbursed basis, so we'll have to expend and then get reimbursed at a later date. And some of those grants or federal funds don't get approved until later on, after sometime September, October, even November. So we can't really claim that until that happens. So we're actively working now to start catching up with what we've spent to date as well. On the expenditure side, $4.7 million spent and 78 yet to expend. And again, some of these are teacher salaries, but also a lot of it's purchase services, that sort of thing. But again, this is consistent with prior years. EIA, which is a law that was passed in 1984, I believe, penny sales tax. We received $5.2 million so far, and budget to receive of 66. Those monies usually come more evenly related to monthly allocations, but receive about 66% yet to receive there. On the expenditure side, 82%, which kind of mirrors the general fund. And again, a lot of these are teacher salary allocations, which will accrue those in July and August. Capital projects. This is a group of, including the bond referendum and capital improvements and those sorts of things. This is a multi-year number, and we have received $155 million since 2012 related to the budget related to the referendum and other projects. We still have 40% left to receive, and the majority of that is phase 2 of the referendum, which will issue this fiscal year. And Ms. Wofford, you'll need to get your signing fingers ready. So we'll be signing a lot of documents sometime soon. So we'll be issuing those bonds sometime after the Christmas holidays. On the expenditure side, 52% to spend, of which we've encumbered $64 million. And again, a lot of that is related to Philip Simmons High School, Bowens Corner, Fox Bank, and Berkeley Ed Center. Food service. We have received $1.3 million and yet to receive 93. Again, this is also on a reimbursement basis as we serve children in our cafeterias, particularly the ones that are related or free and reduced classifications. So we have to record that in our NutriKid system and ask for reimbursement from the state, and there's typically a little bit of lag time in that as well. On the expenditure side, 83% to spend, and again, mirrors the general fund and EIA, as there are some summer salaries related to that group of funds. Any questions?
Any questions? If there aren't any questions, we'll move on to agenda item 5B, which is teacher recruitment and retention fund proposal. I believe Dr. Levine, Dr. McLaren, and Mr. Thomas are going to be presenting on this topic.
Thank you. As a result of a lawsuit that's going on in the state of South Carolina for a long time, I'm not sure how long it is, but Berkeley County Schools has been a plaintiff district since its inception. The lawsuit required the state legislators to start looking at ways to help school districts that are part of the lawsuit related to not only funding education where it should be, but some other areas like teacher recruitment and retention funds. So as a result of that lawsuit, we received some monies for that for this year. It is one-time money, non-recurring. So we'll need to spend it this year and carry it over not too long in the next fiscal year, but again, it's one-time money, so we're trying to put things in there that will be not trying to, but we will put things in there that are non-recurring. This is just some legislative background, which I just talked about, the actual proviso number. The total allocation was $9,058,672, and it included the plaintiff districts, but it also included districts with a poverty index of 85% or higher. Our allocation was $1,295,870, or approximately 14% of the total allocations. And again, the funds are non-recurring and are eligible to carry it over for use in 2017, but by that time, the funds will be gone unless the state legislators decide to do that again. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Levine and Dr. Claren to talk about the actual strategies.
Good evening, Board Chair Wofford. I think I'm going to have to do a little something with this. All right, can you hear me now? All right, awesome. Well, I am excited to talk to you all tonight, and good evening again, Board Chair Wofford, Superintendent Blackburn, members of the board, and those of you who've newly joined the board tonight. We're excited about working with you all. And even more importantly, we are extremely excited to talk about recruitment. And now, here's your first test on the board. Who in this room, everybody, raise your hand if you're responsible for recruiting for Berkeley County School District. Everybody passed, yay, awesome. We are all responsible for recruitment and retention, and as you can see, our goal for the HR department is always to attract, recruit, retain, and develop. And thank goodness we have some funding now that will allow us to do an even better job of that. Now, I know a lot of times people say that throwing money at a problem or at a challenge in this case doesn't fix it, but I can tell you that in this case, it is definitely going to help us in terms of attracting. As you can see, you'll go through the plan with us, and I know you have that in the handout and the PowerPoint that you've received. $1.2 million, over that, almost $1.3 million. And we're going to be using that for rural mileage expansion, for recruitment, teacher cadet expansion, for signing bonuses, Read to Succeed support. And what you're going to be hearing is that some of the things that we're covering in here are things that we don't have a choice in terms of what we have to do. They are unfunded mandates, which means we're told by the state that we have to do it, so we're going to do it, and if anyone can do it and do it well, we believe that Berkeley County School District can do that. And also we have our teacher development and retention expansion plans as well. First of all, we have our rural school mileage expansion. Right now, we already have a plan in place for rural schools, and that is, of course, for individuals who are driving distances. And in these cases, we're looking at distances above 20 miles one way. So we already have the funding in place for just the teachers at this point. But what we want to do is expand that, because as you can imagine, we also have other staff members who are traveling that distance as well. And the plan includes an elevation of rates. As you will see, if someone is going a certain distance, let's say 20 miles, they get one rate. If they're going 30 miles, it's different. And that amount is given throughout the course of the year. And you see the current budget there is $200,000, but we want to expand it to all rural school employees and go through from January of 2017 through June of 2018, and that's going to cost us an additional $225,000. So that is what we're hoping to use that for as we expand that to more employees. And next, their recruitment. Remember now, you all passed that test. There in the center, we have a picture of Shelley Green. Shelley is awesome. She has been in the HR department now for, I believe she said 16 years at this particular point. And one of the things that we're looking at as we continue to recruit, and you see that number there, 393 new teacher hires in 2016. So huge number, right? So that should tell you what's going on in terms of retirements, in terms of changes, relocations, and there are a lot of folks who tell us now that after 2018, they're leaving. We're planning for that with the end of the Terry program as well. So one of the things that we're doing is extending our recruitment. We already go to all of the historically black colleges and universities in South Carolina, and we also do the independent colleges and universities tour, but we're also extending that as well. And if you can look at our numbers on the side in terms of the totals as far as minorities hired, 14, 15, and 16, you see there that that is one of our big challenges. And that's why we're going and extending the rural or the recruitment efforts to a variety of colleges and universities. And what we're also seeing is that the number of individuals going into the education profession, as we see in terms of graduates, is decreasing at this point. So you're going to see some other information in terms of what we're doing to basically grow our own in this area. And the overall, by the way, I want you to know this as well, our overall percentage of minorities in the district is about 13%, 13, close to 14% overall in the district, but that just shows the last few years. And remember now, that's just the number of the new hires, so not the total that you see on there for the entire district. And also, in terms of travel, we want to go to additional places because, as you can see, if we're growing at a rate of about 1,000 students a year, and that's what it's going to be for about 20 years now, that adds up to about 40 additional allocations for teachers per year as we look at that. So we're increasing, again, the recruitment to historically black colleges and universities. We're also traveling to some of the states where right now there are declines as far as teaching is concerned, and the teachers are there, but they can't get jobs, is what they're looking for. So that's where you see we're looking at going to Michigan, Pennsylvania, the consortia there, North Carolina A&T. So we're just expanding what we're already doing. And we're also adding a little bit of a twist on that, because we're also not just going through the individuals in our office, because remember, I'm going to keep saying this, we are all recruiters. So we have a whole lot of our administrators who volunteer to go, as well as our teachers in the district. And then we want to have a diverse group of individuals going so that individuals can see that in Berkeley County, we really do appreciate the diversity and we want to strengthen our diversity. And it's not just in terms of minorities. When we look at diversity overall, I'm talking about males in the elementary schools, for example, as teachers. So that is another example of diversity. And also looking at it in terms of other populations that are represented in our district, and trying to get teachers who look like the children that they're teaching to have that type of diversity there. So we're looking at increasing the existing budget for travel from $20,000 by about $80,000 for the next 2 years. So we're working on that, and we're planning to go to more places. And also another area in which we have to, we're looking at using the funds, is in the area of advertising. Advertising is essential, and getting out there that we have jobs and that those jobs are available. And again, I always have folks raising their hands. It's the teacher in me that just will not leave me. How many of you happen to see any of our ads in the newspaper recently? Especially for buses, for bus drivers? Okay, awesome, awesome, yes, it's working, it's working. So it's out there, and you all are seeing that. So we're putting it not just in the Post and Courier or the ads that are familiar places to us. You know, we have our website, Apple-Track, Sarah, Monster, a ton of different websites. But as you might imagine, to get a half page, even a quarter page in the Post and Courier costs quite a bit. So we are just fortunate, and we're jumping up and down because we've got these new funds now. And also, as you see there, we want to increase the budget there, and then add or take from the total of, we have about the $1.3 million, about $60,000 for advertising. And then signing bonuses as well. We're in competition with a lot of districts, and I want you to imagine this. When we go on some of our recruitment trips, sometimes we might see only 10 educators who are graduating from college, and we're trying to recruit them. But guess what? The other districts are there recruiting as well, and we want them to come to Berkeley County School District. So what we have learned is that we have to sweeten the pot. So we are working on adding the signing bonuses there, and that's part of this proposal, especially to attract individuals in the critical needs areas for subjects. So we're talking math, science, special education, and also foreign language there. So when we talk about the signing bonuses, we're also looking at it in terms of our rural areas. As you might imagine, sometimes it's very challenging because there are a lot of people who live on the southern end of the county and they want to work on the southern end of the county. But some of the jobs, when we look at Cross, Timberland, and then the Cane Hoy feeding chain, that's where we're needing the individuals. So that's why we're looking at the signing bonuses there for our critical subject areas for going to those locations. And remember, we're talking about the feeder patterns for those areas. So this is what we'd like to do. $5,000 per teacher. And if we look at it in terms of what we actually had this year, we had 23 teachers who would have qualified based on those different areas that I just mentioned. And if we do it $5,000 per teacher, $3,000 for year number one. And then when they sign on, remember, as Brantley said earlier, we can carry over the funds for 1 year. So our plan is to offer the $2,000 part once they sign up to come back for year number two. So we know it's not just about retention, but we want to keep them there and keep them in those locations. So we're looking at over the next 2 years, about $160,000 there of that money. And then the next part about it, remember, we are in competition for very few individuals across the state. So we're also looking at doing the relocation support. And then for the 74 teachers that were hired out of state this year, the 8 rural, once again, we're just trying to get our numbers to see just exactly how much we would have there. So we're looking at allocating $1,500 for reimbursement for moving expenses. And of course, this would be information where the individuals would have to show us what they paid out in order to get the reimbursement for relocation there for support. So $180,000 total over the next 2 years. And then if Dr. McLaren would join me for this part to talk about the Read to Succeed Support Act, and then I'll come back, Dr. McLaren, for the part about the teacher cadets.
Good evening, Chairman Wofford, Superintendent Blackburn, members of the board. We're real excited about this money because it's going to allow us to do things to support our teachers and to grow our teachers that we would not be able to do without it. The Read to Succeed Act was passed in 2014. It's known as Act 284. The part of it you may be familiar with is where we make sure that all third graders are reading on grade level, or we put in lots of supports when that doesn't happen. But another part of that act was an unfunded mandate requiring all educators to earn literacy competencies during their next certificate renewal timeframe. Now, that means that our elementary teachers must earn 12 graduate hours or 240 recertification hours. That's 4 classes within their next 10 years of certification. The first 2 classes have to be within the next 5. Middle and high have to earn 3 graduate hours or 60 recertification credits. It's the equivalent of 1 class. Right now, those classes at our local institutions are running just shy of $400 a piece. So this becomes a real financial burden on our teachers if we don't have a way to help them out. By putting this money to support that, we are very thankful for our partnership with South Carolina Virtual. They are going to allow us to offer these courses for $80 a piece to our teachers, and we'll be able to get approximately half of the need for this recertification filled for our teachers. We hope to be able to fill the rest of the need through work we're doing with our instruction and INA department, and they are going to be developing courses that hopefully we can offer in-house. To offer all the courses we would need in-house would be absolutely overwhelming to them, and that's why we're trying to get half of them up front in this manner.
I mentioned earlier some things that we were doing to grow our own in the district, and I want you to know we do have a teacher cadet program, and we have right now about 93 students, I believe, either taking the teacher cadet class right now or who will be taking it during the second semester. And we're excited about these students because these students have indicated that they're interested in possibly going into teaching. Now, some of them are just there to try it out and see if that's something that they enjoy doing. But what we want to do with the funding here is to support the teacher cadet programs. We want to give the teachers who are in charge in the schools to go on college visits, to get the supplies that they need for the class, because we have seen it. And I have been in Berkeley County School District now for, I believe, about 23 years. And over the course of time, I've been very fortunate to see some of my students actually come back and they're teaching right now. So I know it is effective in terms of growing our own. So what we're looking at right now is increasing enrollment by about 35% across the district. So to get over around, I think that takes it to about 126 students in the program. And then another area that we're looking at right now is pro-team training and implementation. So actually trying to get students as early as middle school to talk to them about their interests in teaching. And I know sometimes we talk to them about a whole lot of other things, but we also want to give them the opportunity to see if teaching is what they would like to explore as a career. And this, of course, includes the teacher training, any annual conferences, and other support that they need. So again, this is about growing our own and the teacher cadets and the pro-team programs. Dr. McClure.
Another way that we want to grow our own is through the South Carolina Mentor Training. Every year in the state of South Carolina, our universities are graduating approximately 3,000 fewer graduates as teachers than what the demand is in the state of South Carolina. So we've got to make sure that as we hire new teachers, that we give them all the support they need to be successful and want to stay in the profession. This training is an unfunded mandate that allows each teacher to have a buddy mentor, and we want them to be able to have that person who is in their school that they can regularly go to and that is in their same content area to be able to help them with any questions they might have. So while we have a number of mentors, we don't always have them in the right school, in the right content area. So this is a request we've had even from principals to offer more initial trainings for this experience. And then the state also is switching over its evaluation system. So all current evaluators, including even administrators, are going to need an update training of 1 day that we found out about after the beginning of this school year. So this will help fund this unfunded mandate. The best training that we know of to help our administrators support our teachers is cognitive coaching. It hands down helps our teachers the best. When our full release mentors, the 3 that we have in this county, are cognitive coach trained. Through this money, we will be able to train an administrator in every school in our county, as well as supporting some of our coordinators in being cognitive coach trained, so that we can better help grow our teachers, help them be reflective practitioners, which ultimately will improve student learning. So we're thrilled that we'll be able to partner with some people to come and offer this training in district for at least one person in every school during the next year. Also, as we practice growing our own and better supporting our teachers, the South Carolina Association for School Administrators has a division that is the Center for Excellence in Educational Leadership. They are offering trainings in Columbia throughout this second semester. There are 3 of them remaining, and there are 12 seats remaining. So we are going to be sending some of our rural administrators to the SEAL training in Columbia to help them grow in their leadership abilities so they can better support our teachers. One final thing that was requested with this money that we are not recommending at this time because it does not fit the categorical requirements of this funding is the Rural After School Tutorial Program. We know there is a definite need to support our rural elementary students, specifically Cross Elementary, JK, St. Stephen's, and Kane Hoy. While the program is not eligible for 903 monies, we also recognize that we have figured that it will cost approximately $750,000 to put in effectively. So we're looking for alternative funding to help us with this programming initiative.
Finally, we've rolled all those strategies up for you in this last slide, basically telling you that we are planning to spend every bit of it for the different strategies that were just explained. This does not include the last bullet as far as rural after-school tutorials. So again, we'll be looking for other avenues to support that strategy. And more than likely, you might see it on a budget priority as well. So as we talk about 17-18. So for your information, we appreciate your time and support of our strategies. Yes.
I have a question about the mileage expansion and also the teacher cadet program. How are you going to implement those things without them being non-recurring? Are we going to communicate with the employees that this is a one-time?
Oh, definitely.
I will say, I don't know how you back into a policy and then a year later pull it back.
Well, we will indicate that to the individuals, and we've already had discussions about this, about how to go about it and a plan to communicate that to them. And what we actually had them do, some of the individuals who would be the newly qualifying individuals for it, they completed a survey because we needed to know how much money it would take to link to this. And let me give you an example, if you don't mind. I know, for example, right now I have a gentleman who drives from Williamsburg County every day and goes to the far end of Berkeley County every day, does a phenomenal job, is not getting a dime for traveling. Whereas a teacher, if a teacher were traveling and going to that same distance, that same location, the teacher would be getting funding for that, but the teacher is making more than the classified staff member who is traveling for that. So we've done the survey. We know it's something that's needed, but yes, ma'am, we will be communicating to individuals that it is very much so the time that we have the money, because we want them to stay at those locations as well. So it's about the teacher recruitment, retention piece, as well as other classified staff members who are impacting what's happening in the classroom as well.
The other thing that we'll be doing is keeping some very good stats about our success and whether it is really having an impact. And then the board always has the option to consider it as you approve your general operating fund budget for the year when this money may no longer be available. If it's effective, it's something you may want to consider.
Now, the READ 180 money and the Math 180 money, that was for the rural initiative, that was a one-time expenditure?
Not necessarily. We have to renew some of those licenses and things, so we'll have to give you an updated cost for each year, but we have anticipated that that would be a recurring cost because it also included the teacher to operate the program at the different sites.
Now, the teacher cadet expansion, that would expand into middle school, that would be 1 year for that program, or that is the cost to establish that program?
Well, it's really about establishing the program, and the way we look at it is if we can get it up and running, we can possibly sustain it after that. And again, we may be coming back to you all, if necessary, with that as a budget priority in latter years.
Is a teacher cadet program mandated by the state, or is something Berkeley County doing?
Oh, no, sir. It's not mandated by the state, even though it's in a lot of the school districts across the state. But we've just seen it as something that's been effective in terms of growing our own. And once our students get exposed to that and they go into the classroom, especially when we're talking about juniors and seniors going to the elementary school, and I can tell you right now that some of them fall in love with teaching as a result of that experience. So we continue with it, but no, it's not a mandate in terms of something we have to have.
It seemed like it would be a wonderful program. Let me ask you, is there some incentive for those children when they get to, let's say, 12th grade as they making that leap into college to continue and to come back. But tell us some more about what you got planned for that.
Well,
You know,
in terms,
12th grade through college.
yes, sir. As far as the college piece of it, we really don't provide any type of funding for this from that. But here's our theory and our thought process on it. It's really about catching the heart, and it's the educator in me. Everybody will tell you that, you know, some people come to you, and have you ever heard people say, I just can't do what you do all day? Look at a teacher and say that. I would never do what you're doing. So I know that it's a work of heart, and it's a work of art also. So I know the science in terms of capturing kids' hearts. It doesn't happen like that necessarily for teaching. But I was just talking to Sharon there, our Teacher of the Year, and there are just some things that we're working on. We're not providing funding, Reverend Spann, for that, but it's really about getting them to see what's available. Just like we do with our CTE programs and some other classes, I would love to say that we're going to give some type of scholarship, and then it's this amount of money, and then you come back to Berkeley County and teach. But at this point, we don't have the revenue to do that.
It seems like if we try to encourage them to come back to Berkeley County with some type of incentive, might get a better results. I don't know.
I like
Well,
that.
if we're able to keep those bonuses, sign-on bonuses, that would be a nice incentive for a first-year teacher. If I had been offered $5,000 for year one and $3,000 for the next.
I like the
that would be-
idea of the cadet program, rather than trying to wait till a child finish college and, you know, to recruit them, you know, start early and put that in their mind to come back. That is very good. So maybe something we can work on.
Well, we do a lot with helping kids fill out scholarship applications and show them directions where there are support for special programs that they're interested in,
Yeah, but
including
within
teaching.
the county to come
But
back.
we
to
don't have
Berkeley.
a funding source inside the county.
Mhm.
That is something definitely that some counties do have, that they have worked a thing that if a student graduates from their high school and goes into a teaching preparation program and agrees to come back and work for 3 years, you know, they can get tuition reimbursement or student loan reimbursement to a certain
Something to
point.
that effect, yeah.
Also, there are the South Carolina, I believe, life scholarships, which we certainly work very closely with our students to see if any of them can attain that scholarship as well. But it's going to be a work in progress, and we're going to have to keep some good data. One of the things that made me interested in it is that we did recently conduct a survey of the almost 400 teachers that we hired this year. And some of the questions we asked them were about why you came here. And for many of them, it was because they either knew someone here, they had been here at some point in their time, or they knew something about the quality of life. So again, building on that internally may help us as well.
How many students do we have in the program now?
93.
All high school or
All
middle?
high school. We don't have a middle school program right now.
Okay. I also like the fact that you are trying to help or work with those persons who are not teachers, who are making those long trips. I believe that's a good program as well. We hope that that will get up and running and funded. Yeah.
I would kind of like to see less money in terms of relocation for teachers and more money focused on kind of a teacher cadet type program and grow our own. I mean, we all know Berkeley County is growing and everybody's coming to us. I don't think it's, in my opinion, I don't think it's wise to be paying people to come here when we can grow our own and put more of those funds there. I don't know if this is a significant amount of money. I would almost say recommend us having some sort of board workshop to discuss these funds and explain how under the parameters.
I agree with you. I think we should try to.
I think the board should have more.
Grow our own teachers here.
Yeah.
I think it'd be much, in the future, it should be much more economical.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to have a workshop if that's your desire. We would appreciate knowing what your questions are in advance of the workshop so that we can be prepared to answer them. And if you have any other ideas that you'd like for us to be exploring, if you would also give us that information so that we can be prepared, and perhaps Ms. Wofford can get the board to look at their calendars and establish that date, because the sooner we can start to get some of this money out there to our folks, the sooner it has an impact. I would comment about the relocations. We have some areas, especially in our rural schools, where we have a very hard time getting a math teacher, a science teacher, a foreign language teacher, or a special education teacher. And if we can do something, if it is a relocation package that kind of sweetens that deal, it helps us get them here. Our goal is if we get them here, we need to make it a great enough teaching experience that they will stay. And so some of our neighboring counties are doing relocation support. Some have done it extensively, some have done it less extensively. And I thought this might give us an opportunity to at least try it and see if it has an impact on our ability to get some of those. I'm looking for a math teacher right now and have been unable to fill that position in one of our schools for the entire first semester and have been using virtual learning from a Cane Bay High School program for those students and continue to search for that. So there are areas that are just very difficult to fill. But we will be happy to bring it back and let you talk about it in workshop, and again, the sooner the better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item 6A, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Wofford, and congratulations on your selection as our chair, and Mr. McQuillan on yours as our vice chair. I look forward to working with you. I have had an opportunity in the last few days to meet with our 5 new board members. We did a crash course on how to use the electronic agenda and a few other things, and got their ID pictures made, and opportunity for some questions with those groups last Friday and again on Monday afternoon to try to help support getting off to a smooth start. So we're excited about the new opportunities, and we have some really challenging work to do, and I think this is a group that's prepared to roll up their sleeves and do that challenging work. Would like to mention that this is American Education Week, and I never want to miss an opportunity to say thank you to our educators. It's November 14th through 18th, and Sharon is here representing our teacher forum. In fact, all of you who remain as a classroom teacher at this point, if you would stand and let us just recognize you. If you're a classroom teacher right now, thank you for all you do. And you know, it takes the whole village, so if you happen to be a support person, including our administrators for our classroom teachers, if you would stand and let us recognize you as well. Support employees, including our administrators. We are very fortunate, I believe, to have a quality school system. We rank 24th in academic achievement and 87th in per pupil expenditure. You get a pretty good deal for the expenditures that we invest in Berkeley County students. And, you know, I believe that a high quality education is a basic right, but it's also a responsibility, and take that very seriously. So pleased to have many of our educators in the audience this evening. Also, I have the great pleasure of finally introducing the Phantom, our new Director of Communications. I know you believe he wasn't really real, but he is. I'd like to ask Dr. Donnie Porter if he would stand, please, and be recognized. Donnie started on October 31, and I said at that point, this is my last press release that I'm ever going to write, so we'll see. Donnie brings a vast variety of experiences with him. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Communications, a Master of Arts in Public Administration, a doctorate in education with a curriculum studies specialty. He has been in broadcast media, both with the government and in education settings. He's been a public information officer in the state of Georgia, in Richmond County, Georgia, in Macon, Georgia, and in Buncombe County, North Carolina. And he also worked about a 10-year stint working in student services in Richmond County, Georgia. So we are delighted to have you join us and look forward to the great things that you're going to help us do. So welcome, Dr. Porter. On Thursday, November 10th, I hosted a luncheon meeting for our area realtors, and it turned out to be really a great gathering, and I was so pleased to hear some of our real estate community share the great experiences that their children had had in our schools. And I asked them if I could get them to write letters to the editor. Some of them were so good. We had about 25 or 30 who came. We had lunch and great conversation. We did the Moving Berkeley Forward presentation, which some of you had seen, which talks about our program, it talks about how we're financed, talks about our accomplishments, and also talks about where we're hoping to go next, along with the construction projects and the growth that we're doing. So a really good conversation, and there's probably no group more vested in what's going to happen with the growth maybe than our real estate group, because they're out there helping these new families get into these homes, and they want us to provide a great school and a great experience for them. Finally, Tim mentioned it, but I did want to just add to that, you know, as part of our ongoing efforts to make safety the priority one in our schools, we will be doing a joint effort with Berkeley County School District and the Sheriff's Department and Berkeley County Emergency Preparedness to conduct that active shooter training exercise at Sangaree Intermediate on Thursday, November the 17th. And if you've ever listened to anyone who's been a part of a crisis on a school campus, one of the things that they always say is that the practice that we have done to prepare for this kind of event made all the difference in the world. And so again, I thank our schools for the great work they do with safety, thank Tim for his efforts, and of course our partnership with Berkeley County Emergency Management and the Sheriff's Department.
That's it. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Blackburn. We'll move on to agenda item 7A, which is the board chair report. We haven't had anyone commit to go to the Legislative Advocacy Conference on December the 2nd through the 4th in Hilton Head. We have until, actually tonight, tomorrow morning, Penny has to give a name if anybody is willing to travel. This is actually a conference where we vote on the direction for the South Carolina School Board Association, and I think we have 40 votes that will forfeit. Frank is going. Oh, Frank, are you going?
I don't know.
I was going to say, we need a delegate and we need
an alternate.
An alternate.
Yeah, I will be.
You will attend.
I will attend. Yes.
Is anyone else available to attend? If you'll check your calendar. The next thing to note is the new board member training will take place on Thursday, February 16th. That will also be in Hilton Head at the annual convention. That's a multi-day convention. So mark that on your calendar. Also, I found when I was a new board member, February was really a long time from when I was on the board, and there are things I wish I had learned earlier. So I would like to entertain the idea if new board members would like a new board orientation in the month of December in Berkeley County. We can organize some new board training to kind of get you prepared. I had made more than one mistake by the time February came around to give me training. So if anyone is interested in some new board training, we can organize that. Also, if you want this workshop, do you want it right before the next meeting in December? Thoughts? Mr. McQuillan, it was your idea. When would you like to plan it?
Whenever folks are available, I'm fine to come early to a meeting. Or
The next meeting is December 13th. So would you like a 4:30 or 5 o'clock start on December the 15th?
5.
A 1 hour?
Yeah, 5 would work for me.
5 o'clock. A 1 hour early to discuss
New
the
board
budget.
training?
No, sir, to discuss the recruitment and the funding proposal more in detail through all of those proposals.
5.
5 o'clock on December
December
15th.
13th.
December 13th. And if there are interests from the new members to have a 2-hour board training in December, let me know and we'll try to coordinate some dates.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, who are you thinking about? Are you thinking about having somebody from the State Department,
Or the School Board
School Board Association
School
to
Board
come and-
Association,
to
yes,
do
sir.
the training? I thought you probably wanted Matt to do that also.
So let Mac do it.
Question that.
Similar, remember what we did in the workshop, not this summer, summer before last, Frank? That's what was in my
Yeah,
mind.
okay.
That 1 hour, 2 hour presentation, not to take place of the whole day training, but to kind of get out ahead and assist people in getting oriented.
Absolutely.
So what would be a date for that, Madam Chairman?
I was going to say, let me do some research. If there's interest, we'll do some research and see what we can schedule that's available, and we'll send out, try to communicate with you some possible dates. I'm thinking towards the first part of December, maybe that same week of the board meeting, but we'll have to get availability. All right, moving on to agenda item 8A. Executive session. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we enter executive session for the limited purpose of discussion of pending employment matters to include appointment of an administrator.
I second.
There's a motion to move into executive session to discuss pending employment matters to include an appointment of an administrator. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving into executive session, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are now in executive session.